right. Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to Minds Behind the Music. I am your host, LA. I hope everyone's having a decent Monday. I know it's like snowing out from the East Coast. I don't know how everyone else is doing on the other side of the country or the other side of the world, but I know I had to I had to shovel where I was parked and my house, and I know that's not fun. I hate the snow. But let's get into today's topic. Today is an article review, and this specific article is Alex Van Halen, specifically on his quote, "There's nothing left in the music business." Now, let's get into that. Alex Van Halen listed his requirements for a good live performance and argued that dramatic changes in the music industry have shifted the focus back to artists' onstage product. In a newly published interview with Modern Drummer, which took place before the death of Eddie Van Halen, Alex said he'd always regarded Van Halen as a live band. After we honed our skills, you learn the connection between people and the music, he explained. Playing live, there should be no dead space. Never turn your back on the audience and never insult them. They're equal to you. That line that separates the audience from the stage, that's not a line. That's just to keep them from puking on your shit. You're there to make the audience feel good. Which he's right. I could honestly I can honestly say I've seen a lot of musicians and bands live, and I could say I've seen a lot of good ones and I've seen a lot of bad ones. I will get into that more as we continue on to the article. He went on to claim that he went on to claim that modern technology had been misused to destroy the world of recording. There's nothing left in the music business, he said. It's a bunch of ones and zeros. In the old days, you'd get $1 a record. Now you get 50 cents for 275,000 streams. It's insane. It's wrong. Now the only thing you have is playing live, which is ironic because that's how it all started. It's kind of like that quote, the more that things change, the more they stay the same. And I think it's definitely prevalent here because now instead of, going and buying a full album, you could go on Spotify, Apple Music, search for a specific song, search for like just specific songs you like from a particular album and just listen to that on, and that particular song will get numerous amount of streams. Which, by the way, if you haven't checked out Progress Avenue on Spotify and Apple Music, I highly recommend you do. We're up there. But it does have to do a lot with the live performance. A lot of bands really get out there and get a lot of attraction as a band for performing live. But in order to perform live, at least in my area from what I've seen, you have to have like live recordings and stuff. You got to have music out there so that the promoters can actually promote your stuff. That's kind of the whole formula behind performing live and just releasing music, just being a successful band or musician. Alex pointed out that up until their 1984 era, Van Halen and their tour crew had all travel on the same bus, and the experience had strengthened their onstage presence. Leonardo da Vinci said, "Large rooms distract the mind, small rooms focus the mind." He quoted, "When you're all tight in close quarters, it focuses your energy, and you learn how to deal with issues and problems. If you're in a large space, you never even have to say hello to other guys. What's that all about?" I think I could kind of see or get from what he's saying here. It's like there's not really like a genuine respect or like a bond that you have with people you work with, which I feel like that's even less common now than it is, say, in the big 80s glam metal era or the big like performing with acts in the 70s or even in the 90s with like grunge bands and alternative bands. Like there wasn't a lot of chemistry between the bands and the roadies and the people that worked behind the scenes. I'd rather have someone wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, fuck you," as opposed to not saying anything at all. Alex continued, "I'm serious. Give me some emotion. That's what this is about. Music is a celebration of being human with the drums at the forefront." And I believe that's an older picture of Van Halen, probably like from mid to late 70s. Oh, 1974. Yeah, that was when oh, that was before they got Michael Anthony. It says Alex Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, Mark Stone, and David Lee Roth. There's Eddie and Alex, I believe. I think, yeah, that's Alex, and that's that guy, Mark Stone, and David Lee Roth. That must have been before they got Michael Anthony. And there's just stuff. This is more just history about Van Halen over here. But I think my takeaway from all of this is that there's not a lot of like human emotion when it comes to the music industry. It's more of like, give me money, give me this performance, and and then we'll call it a day. And I'm not saying that it happens with all of the musicians nowadays. I mean, there's a lot of them that really interact with the people and their fans. Like I know Billie Eilish is one of them. She reacts to she has a very strong presence on social media, and I heard she has a very vibrant, positive personality in real life. And I heard Justin Bieber starting to become more down to earth and like really connecting with his fans and connecting with the people around him. So it's not all bad. I mean, even I could even name a few others like Post Malone, Sam Smith, a lot of others. And there were even artists back in the day that just kind of stuck to themselves and kind of were the divas and were thinking that the world revolved around them, and it only in what they did mattered and nothing else. Like, who cares what the sound engineers do? Who cares what anyone else behind backstage did? But it's give and take. Now, am I saying that there's nothing left in the in the music business? No. I don't really quite understand what Alex Van Halen meant when he said there's nothing left in the music business. I guess because there's not a lot of emotion that he sees, at least with rock bands today. I don't see that a lot in rock bands, at least in a lot of the big emo, pop punk, that kind of rock music, because that kind of stuff's popular in my area, and that's popular nowadays in the general public. That's like the most popular rock music nowadays, because we had Warp Tour for a really long time. I think we had that since the 90s. It ended, but I've heard talk about bringing it back. And there's venues all over the place. There's venues where a lot of these emo and alternative bands play, like Hershey Park Arena. There's Starland Ballroom in Sayreville, New Jersey. And there's even like there's even like little meet and greets. But I've been hearing on and off that, there's a reputation that a lot of these alternative bands have for being just like utterly like not pleasant to work with, not saying unpleasant to work with, but like they don't have the charisma that a lot of rock bands back in the day had, which was understandable. Which I can see why a lot of people are kind of losing faith in rock music nowadays. Even the rock musicians from the 70s and 80s are saying like there's no point in today. But I don't know, I'm holding out hope. I know there's a lot of rock acts out there that are just trying to, perform for the sake of performing. They love the music, they love the fans, they love being out there. And it was all I mean, I've I can even vouch for a lot of these rock bands nowadays because I'm in a rock band right now. And I'd say like it's all for the fun of performing, and you always got to keep watch of what you do and what you say, and just keep a positive attitude and a positive outlook on what you do when you perform live, because whenever you're like if you're not going to have a positive outlook on your performance or your fans or just being in a band in general, it will affect your performance. I've seen I remember going to the last Warp Tour in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and seeing a lot of these rock acts perform, and I'm just thinking like they really don't have a lot of the there's really something missing with that. There's something that they're not doing that they should be doing. I'm not saying they were all like that. There are a lot of bands that I saw at the Scranton Warp Tour that I really genuinely enjoyed, and I think they put on an excellent performance live, and they have a lot of energy because there are a lot of bands out there that still have that energy saying like, "Wow, we love the fans. We love the drive that they give us. We love the drive we have of performing." But again, it's give and take. There are a lot of rock bands out there that are cool with that. They're cool with that. They love performing and they love the fans. And then there are just rock bands out there that just care about a paycheck, that just care about, making more for their performances. They they think that, oh, if I just perform this song over and over and over again, I'm just gonna this is all what it's all about. And I could honestly say I'm gonna be honest with you, and I have to say I disagree with that. If you disagree with me and you can see why these rock bands out here that don't really care about how they sound and, how their music affects the fans, that definitely let me know. But I think again it's a give and take. There's a lot of rock bands out there that just bullshit around and say that like they just perform for the sake of performing. I'm not gonna really name a few because I know I'm gonna start a fight and I'm gonna start people are gonna be like, "Well, this rock band is I see what this rock band's done, and it's not like that." And I really don't think it's worth getting into that, but I will admit there are a lot of rock bands out there that still have that drive that Van Halen has, and will say that we love the fans, we love performing the like we do, and we're gonna keep doing it. And more power to those bands. And that's one of the reasons why I disagree with Alex Van Halen because it's kind of a one-sided thing to say that, there's nothing left in the music business. There's no emotion in it because there's plenty of emotion. It's just a lot of the music that people listen to nowadays is different. From it's very different from the music of say in the 80s and the 90s and even the 70s where you had glam metal, where you had heavy metal, where you had thrash metal, you had speed metal, you had hard rock, you had pop rock, you had glam rock. It was very musically diverse, and there's so many other genres now where it's gone to a more generational thing where and a lot of music genres will continue to change because and Billboard, like, as you see billboards and ever-changing, billboards genres or genre of music that you see on the charts each decade is ever-changing. Like, in the '70s, you'd see a lot of disco, you see a lot of rock, like soft rock, some hard rock, and in the '80s, you'd see a lot of synth pop, you see a lot of pop, you see a lot of glam metal, you see a lot of hard rock as well. And then in the '90s, that's where the big grunge alternative rock explosion of music came, and that affected the charts. 1991 was a huge year for music in general, for just every single genre, for heavy metal, for hard rock, for pop, for alternative rock, for alternative metal, for even for grunge. 1991 was the year of grunge practically, because I believe Alice in Chains released their debut album, Nirvana released Nevermind, and Pearl Jam released I forgot which one. Pearl Jam released one of their big albums. I forgot the name of it, but I have to get back to you guys on that. And the 2000s, they had a very unique era of music. I think the 2000s had one of the, in my opinion, because that was my era growing up, that was one of the best eras of music that this is just my opinion, that it had one of the best eras of music ever because I think that was one of the last decades that really focused on the songwriter and what he was writing about. Now, there is still some music out there that focus on the songwriter and focus on what he's writing about, but I think that the 2000s was that last decade where where it was more focused on the songwriter and just focused on the specific artist's music. And for the '70s and '80s, it wasn't well, for the 80s at least, it was more focused on a band effort or an orchestral effort, which rather than, I would say, a songwriter more or less. And there were a lot of songwriters back in the 80s that made it on their own. Michael Jackson was one of them. Stevie Wonder had a couple big hits in the 80s, but I I saw it more in I saw it more in the 2000s, which my point with all of this is saying that music is ever changing. It doesn't have to do with the genre of music for it to be, you know, for it to have that emotion or drive that, say, a glam metal band would have or a hard rock band would have, but it's definitely one of those. It's definitely there's definitely drive and emotion, and I think that's what a lot of people kinda get lost in. A lot of those "I hate my generation" people will say. They'll say that, "Oh, today's music sucks. Oh, I was born in the wrong generation. I listen to old music because today's music sucks." But it's all about, like, you gotta really look. I know Billboard's not gonna find the music that you love. You're not gonna find the music that you love on Billboard, but if you really take the time to look, there are musicians out there that have the same amount of drive as the musicians from the 70s and 80s, like, just like Van Halen, and you'll be very surprised what you find. I know I was, and I know that I still am because I take I you gotta take your time to look, and I took my time, and I can honestly say there is still stuff left in the music business. I think that the 2020s is a whole new decade for, musicians to start releasing their music and to start just to start a new style and to start a new way of life in the industry. I know that the pandemic has been, a big bother and a big issue, like a big setback for people in the music industry, but I think we're slowly starting to you know, get our momentum back. So there's so much to look forward to in this next decade. So my final verdict on this article is I don't agree with it. I don't agree that there's nothing left in in the music business. There's still stuff left to explore in the music business. I This is nothing against Alex Van Halen. I have nothing but respect. I have the utmost respect for Van Halen. I have the utmost respect for Alex Van Halen as a drummer. He is in my opinion one of the greatest drummers of rock music. I just disagree with this article and I wanted to talk about it. And that's how I want to end it, guys. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to see videos similar to this one. Tomorrow, I will be doing another singing lesson for you guys, so it won't be a live. It'll just be like a YouTube video or a upload for you guys. It's just another lesson. And I will be working on the audio versions of the podcast soon. I I will fill you guys in as soon as I, start working on them and start figuring everything out. But Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are very iffy for me. I don't know if I will be uploading or if I will be doing any lives because I know Wednesday I can't because I will be having my surgery, but I will keep you guys updated about Thursday and Friday. So be on the lookout for that. Check Instagram or check Facebook, my Instagram. I'll put it below here. I should have done this before. Should have done this a while ago. Instagram is right here. LA Perez Works. If you want to see, I have a TikTok as well. I'll also be uploading here as well. If you want to see any updates, TikTok at LA Perez Music, underscore A underscore. All these underscores are specifically on my TikTok, so definitely check that out. So if you want to see any updates, be Instagram at LA Perez Works. I'll probably post stuff on my story, so keep on the lookout for that. Guys, I hope you have a good rest of your week and you stay safe in the snowstorm. So have a good one. And as always, stay tuned.